The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager. Live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XPX index currently trading at $38,300. Bitcoin shooting up about 12% currently. And the CoinDesk Ether price ETFs index is at 2331. ETH also soaring about 8.5% over the past 24 hours. And the new DFX CoinDesk's DeFi index is at 522. DeFi up about 11% over the day. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as a leader in crypto news, events, and data. So certainly when Bitcoin moons, so does the rest of the crypto markets. And joining us now to discuss is Ben Slavin, Global Head of ETFs at BNY Mellon. Welcome to the show, Ben. So I'd love to hear your analysis on why Bitcoin is spiking right now. Is it due to the short squeeze?
Well, there's certainly been a lot of speculation that it is a short squeeze, certainly on some of the comments that were made last week, but coming out of the conference as well, that seemed to be causing some of the But what we also are seeing, is on the back of that, quite a bit of volume in the ETF space, specifically in those products that are listed outside the US, in Canada, and a few of the markets in Europe. And ultimately seeing a spike in volume, but the products, actually acting just as they were intended to do, really tracking the price of spot as the market moves upward, but also providing a liquidity valve for those investors as well.
Good morning. So it's been kind of a dull summer until now. Do you expect this to last, this spike, or do you think we're going to go back to the prices that we've been seeing for the past few weeks?
Well, it's hard to speculate, and you're right. Certainly we saw volume go as the price, of the underlying, went down, a little bit earlier this year. We're starting to see some of that pick up. Ultimately, I think this is a healthy sign of the market. Obviously, very difficult to see where this is going to go, but ultimately, I think seeing the market sort of rally back, ultimately, is again a healthy sign. But I think it's a little bit early to sort of spike the football that the rally is back on, just given some of the short-term moves.
Taking a look at the futures markets and open interest, as well as the options markets, any indication on what price direction might take?
Well, not exactly. I think, again, it's hard to read, but what is fair to say is that, given the interest, in the market, certainly futures are playing a larger role as overall market infrastructure supporting cryptocurrencies generally. And I think that's a big piece of really the money. And again, in our world, we also see, the same thing in the ETF market, where having derivatives and the open interest continue to grow is a sign that not only there's investor interest, but there's also institutional interest and, demand for these products. And again, I think some of the markets is constructive to support ETF, those products either continue to grow outside the U.S. And I think is not the only thing, but certainly a key component to the regulators in the U.S. Becoming more comfortable with a U.S. Listed product tracking Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies as well.
So Ben, last week, BNY Mellon, which is the world's largest custodian bank with some 41 trillion in assets under management, announced that it will begin custodying crypto. Was just speaking on this topic, was there a high demand to begin with from clients for a service like this to hold their crypto?
Yes. So we are incredibly excited with Grayscale. So that announcement that came out recently and made a lot of headlines is really exciting. And that is on the back of a tremendous amount of demand that we are seeing from our asset management and institutional clients for services related to cryptocurrency. So in the case of Grayscale, we are providing services, effectively the infrastructure, to help support those products. So these are things like accounting and administration. And at the point when Grayscale is ready and the S ready to approve a Bitcoin ETF, we can tack on the ETF services that are needed that we supply for more than $1 trillion of assets that are currently on our platform for those products. So on the digital asset custody side, same story. Really, there's been tremendous demand for both institutional and retail investors to assets their portfolio and try to take a forward-looking and progressive view towards these assets and made the announcement, and we're working towards that to have a product in the market later this year.
Speaking of ETFs, if you had to guess, when do you think we'll finally see one in the United States? And what is the holdup still? What's holding it back?
I knew I was going to get that question. It's like the hot topic in the industry. Okay, look, we are 8 years into this journey already. Between the time that the first ETF was filed in the U.S. and if you were to think about it in the form of a progress bar, we're moving pretty far down the way. If you think about it, but we're not quite there yet. And I think the market has matured quite a bit since those early days, and certainly having the futures market, the market cap of Bitcoin itself and the other digital assets has grown quite substantially. So the industry has been hammering away. Really tough to speculate. I do think that it's clear that there's a regulatory framework that needs to be in place. Issues that are outstanding haven't quite been resolved. That said, it has not stopped the industry from really lining up. So that queue to become the first U.S. listed Bitcoin ETF is continuing to grow. I think we have 12 filings with the SEC now, and I think there'll be a few more before this is all said and done. But the timing is unclear. Again, I think it's definitely something at the earliest we would see at the end of this year, but likely into next year, depending on how the regulatory framework shapes up.